Thank you for joining me. I'm Scott Ryan. I'm hearing a lot of talk on radio about the debate whether we should have armed guards at every school, as Wayne LaPierre suggested of the NRA. And I am really dubious as to whether that would be a solution that would be desirable. I mean, it would work, but I think that it's getting out of hand. I mean, the fact that we have gotten to the point where we've got to consider this. I mean, it was a big deal when it was metal detectors in every school, and then that didn't work, I guess. So now we're at armed guards at every school. I mean, why not just move all the police stations to the public schools? Just have the police stations at every public school. You don't see too many of these shootings being perpetrated at police stations. Maybe that would save some money rather than have a guard there paying them to be there. Why not just bring the whole damn station there? But seriously, when looking at real solutions, I mean, we've had these shootings happen all over the country, and there is one common thread when you examine just about 99% of these mass shootings. The one common thread, aside from guns being present, is public schools. You're not seeing this kind of atrocity happen so much in the private schools. It's the one common thread, and it's a concept that is so outdated, it has clearly failed. We have reached a period in our nation. I mean, early on in the country's founding, and for the first 150 years, it might have been arguable that we needed public schools back then. There were more limited resources. There weren't a lot of options. But now, it's just ridiculous. We are seeing all these lawsuits, for example, let's say about students who are denied their right to pray in school or pray at a football game, or everybody's offended by something, and all these lawsuits. Meanwhile, we have the infrastructure in this country. Capitalism can give everybody what they want, and we can all learn the fundamentals without having to fight each other and have these lawsuits constantly being waged. But again, the government wants control. If we were to go with the obvious solution and reduce the funding for public schools and create an environment where there's competition, and if you want to send your child to the Disney school, you can. If you want to send your child to the Coca-Cola school, you can. If you want to send your child to the Christian school, you can. If you want to send your child to the Muslim school, you can. Everybody can do what they want. People can stop suing each other and have the kind of education they want. And if you want to send your child to the atheist school, then you just send them to the public school. But no, the government doesn't want that, because that involves you having a choice on how to raise your child and what type of education your child should be given, and have a choice as to prevent your child from being indoctrinated by liberals, by socialists. So that wouldn't work, would it? That is the obvious solution. Why isn't anybody calling for the abolition of public schools? We would sooner give away our Bill of Rights. We would sooner yield to these terrorists in Washington, D.C., these terrorist Democrats who are working feverishly every single day to peel off old wounds, to cause new wounds, to steal every morsel of our liberty. But no, we've got to have those public schools. Not the guns, not the Second Amendment. It's time for the public schools to go. As heinous as these crimes are, to put them in proper perspective, which we never do when it comes to elected scoundrels trying to exploit popular turmoil to grab more of our Second Amendment, First Amendment, any amendment, the Bill of Rights. Whenever they want to attack it, they exploit these situations, and it's taken out of context. Instead of focusing on how heinous, how abhorrent the actual crime is, we need to be taking a look at a daily basis. How many cities, towns, counties, throughout states, throughout the entire United States on a daily basis, how many incidents there are in which gun ownership, how many crimes are deterred on a daily basis throughout all those towns, cities, counties, and states throughout the Union. And to put it in proper perspective, how many lives are saved, how many crimes are prevented. That's the way that this should be viewed. But of course it's not. because we're dealing with evil people. People who are every bit and more as evil as the shooters themselves, who would use the strong arm of government to deny, to strip the liberties of the American people, people in our very own government, contain the kind of evil, or capable of the kind of evil, to kill, to give execution orders and give approbation to the murder of tens of millions of innocent babies every year in this country, who have no compunction about killing the elderly, and under the guise of Obamacare will do just that. That's the kind of unmitigated evil that we're talking about, that we are really fighting against. Those very evil people take out of context a horrible atrocity that occurred in one town in the country and try to balance that and with all of the crimes and horrible things that are prevented as a result of gun ownership. It's casuistry at its finest. It's chicanery at its finest. It's evil at its finest. To prey on the emotions of the people in order to get them, to convince them to give up their liberties. That is the very same evil that was behind the Cold War that we fought against. That was the very evil that Ronald Reagan termed as the evil empire. Let us not forget what the real evil is, what the greatest threat is. These horrible school shootings, as horrible as they are, nothing can be more dangerous. Nothing can assure the misery and the oppression of the American people like that of the Democrat Party, of Nancy Pelosi, of Barack Hussein Obama, of Harry Reid, of Chuck Schumer. When you yield, when you cede to the specious lies and manipulation of emotions of such people, disaster is imminent. Disaster will befall this country. Woe to you who listen to this angel of light, to this deceitful manipulator.